situation you might be going through right now, remember you're not alone. Hi, lovely people. How are you doing? Hoping you're doing fine. I'm also very fine. And thank you so much for clicking. Thank you for your support so far. And I'm Maria James. Karibu sana. But if you're new, kindly consider subscribing and become a part of this wonderful family. Today, guys, I want us to talk about suicidal thoughts. Suicide is the act of intentionally taking your own life. And suicidal thoughts are now the feelings, the moment you're now contemplating of taking your own life. Suicide is one of the many subjects that people are afraid to talk about or even acknowledge. Uh, but it's happening. Suicide is happening. It's happening every day. It's happening at a very, very high rate. And this is because people are suffering from one reason or another. Feelings of suicidal can be very, very bad, guys. Suicidal feelings can affect anyone, regardless in terms of age, gender, or even background at any given moment, at any given time. These feelings might come, and if not taken care of, you might end up even taking your own life because you got no solution, okay? I want us to look at some of the common causes that actually lead to suicidal feelings. Uh, First of all, is discrimination. Discrimination is one of things that can actually lead to suicidal feelings because at this particular moment you feel discriminated, you feel rejected, you feel like not wanted, you feel all alone, and that might lead to it. The second thing is losing a loved one. This one is very bad. You had a loved one, you've lost them. The fact that this person can never come back to life can finish you slowly by slowly, and you might even end up thinking of committing suicide and ending your own life. Number three is the end of a relationship. This is really happening when you've broken up with your loved with the person you love. You might feel like committing suicide because you feel like there's nothing beyond that. The pain is can be so much unbearable. Money problems is another thing. Money problems is very, very bad because you have bills to pay, you have so many stuffs you want to do, you need to eat, you need a lot of stuff you need with the money. But now the fact that maybe you've been looking for a job you can't find, you just want financial stability, which is not really happening in your life. You might feel like pushed to the corner, like you think you might not even have a solution to it. Another thing is housing problem. When you're homeless, the fact that you don't have a place you can just go and lie your head can really traumatize you and end up committing suicide. Another one is depression, postnatal depression, or any other kind of depression. Depression is very, very bad. Lack of freedom, another thing. Probably being in prison can really wreck you if you've not accepted that you are in prison, if not accepted the whole fact that maybe you're going to spend your whole life in prison and all those kind of stuff. It might cause suicidal thoughts. Sexual abuse, physical abuse, or even domestic abuse is another thing. The pain of this abuse is unbearable, and especially the sexual abuse, where you feel shame, you feel like you can take back, you cannot erase what really happened. It can be really, really traumatizing. Another thing is feeling inadequate or a failure. You feel you're not good enough. You feel you might have been trying to do a lot of stuff, been trying to make things end meet. You've been trying to do a lot of things, but you end up failing and failing and failing again and again, and you feel like you're just a failure. You're not able to accept, if you've reached a point where you think that you cannot try again because you are failing and failing, so you end up thinking you are a failure. And it's very bad. This one is very common, and especially in the people suffering from suicidal thoughts. One of the many reasons, and the very, very common one, is this one: feeling um like a failure, because you feel like useless. You feel like you can never do anything right. You feel like you can never succeed, you can never do anything right, which is very, very bad. Another thing is mental health problems. Those people that are suffering from mental problems, that are probably led through by depression or maybe through drugs and a lot of stuff. This can actually cause it, which is very, very bad. Look out for them if at all you're going through that. Those are just but the most common causes. So guys, while experiencing these suicidal thoughts, you might be overwhelmed and unable to deal or even cope with the difficult times that you are experiencing. Because obviously, when you are experiencing suicidal thoughts, I know you are at a particular moment that you're going through so much difficult moments, difficult experience that you are unable to cope with. Feelings, you're just overwhelmed with all these things, and you're unable to deal with it. You just want to die. You are at the particular moment where you just want to die. You feel like you cannot go on living your life. You feel like your life is worth nothing. uh you just feel bad. It's just feel bad. um this is uh Mostly these suicidal feelings and thoughts come when you feel like when you're facing difficult challenges that may seem not to have a solution. Okay, difficult moments that may seem not to have a solution, or maybe things are not working as planned. You're just trying and things are not working. So in your mind, what you're thinking is that there is no solution. But guys, there's a solution. Only that when you're facing these difficult moments, mostly we think there is no solution. So we end up giving up. We end up having suicidal thoughts. And finally, we end up committing suicide. The feelings can actually build up over time if not taken care of. Um, hmm. Guys, suicide is bad. Suicide is bad. So when you're experiencing suicidal thoughts, there are feelings, and there's some feelings that you might have. One, you might feel so desperate, as if you have no choice. You're so much desperate, and you feel like there's no other choice. The only choice you think that there is to commit suicide. Like you're looking all round and you can't see any other choice. So you're just desperate to find a solution, but you just can't. Another thing, you feel like everyone would be better off without you. You want to end your life because you feel like everyone will be better off without you. Because at this particular moment, you might be feeling like a burden to them, so they are better off without you. Another thing, you may feel useless, not wanted, or even loved by others. You just feel like you don't exist, like you feel so useless and so worthless. You may feel unbearable pain that you can't even imagine ending. Okay, the unbearable pain you feel, you're trying to find a solution on how to end it, but you just can't. You don't know how to end this unbearable pain. And when I talk unbearable pain, I mean unbearable pain. A pain that you're not even able to deal with. It's so painful and so hurting. You're trying your way out of it, but you just can't find. Another thing is tearful and overwhelmed by negative thoughts. When you're feeling the suicidal thoughts, the only things in your mind are all negative. Like you don't think about anything positive about your life, about yourself, about life, about anything, about other people. It's just but negative thoughts, which is very bad. Another thing, you're just fascinated by death. Mhm. Fascinated by death. Another thing, you feel like you cannot find a way out of your problem. You feel like there's no way out. You feel like there's no way out. Um, what you feel is like you feel like you've let yourself down. You feel like you've let others down, which is not always the truth, guys. You feel like a failure. You feel just useless and all that. These are very, very common, the feelings that you feel inside you. And let me tell you, all these feelings that you're feeling desperate, like there's no choice, feeling like everyone will be better off without you, these are just bad anxieties. These are just negative thoughts created in your mind to suit your situation. Just because you are at your very end, you feel like everything and everybody is against you, which is not always the case. Okay, it is not always the case. It's just about anxiety and the negative thoughts that have actually been built up in your little mind. Okay, while at this what at this moment when you're experiencing suicidal thoughts, you may experience some negative effects that comes out with the suicidal thoughts. One, poor sleeping habits. You might end up sleeping too much or sleeping less. Yeah? Sleeping too much or sleeping not or not sleeping at all. Another thing is a change in appetite. You might be eating too much or eating too little or not even eating at all. You just don't have appetite at all. No, you might experience no desire to take care of yourself. You basically neglect your physical appearance. You just neglect yourself. Talking of physical appearance, your health, you just don't care about yourself. You neglect your whole being. Okay, which is very bad. Another thing, what you want is to avoid others. You want to be alone. You tend to avoid people so much, staying away from them, maybe locking yourself in your room, staying alone. And the reason is why you want to stay alone is because you want to think, and the more you are alone, the more bad it is. You struggle to communicate. You are trying to communicate no matter what. You might try to be communicating, but you just feel no, you can't. You're not able to communicate. You might be in a place where people are talking, and you're not able to contribute to the whatever stories they're talking about because you have struggles in communication. Another thing is self-loathing and low self-esteem. You might experience low self-esteem, and this low self and self-loathing, rather like self-hatred. You might hate yourself, feel like that is what I'm talking about, being useless and worthless. So you end up hating yourself. You might have failed so much in life and you end up hating yourself because you don't see anything good with yourself. And you might also experience low self-esteem because it's just unbearable. You might have the urge to hurt yourself. That's why you might find you have a knife, you want to cut your wrist. You're just finding some many weird things to hurt yourself in a way, because generally you don't care about what happens to you. You don't care if you cut yourself, you're gonna get hurt or something. You don't care what is going to happen after you do something crazy with yourself. You just have the urge to hurt yourself. Okay, um which is bad. Guys, suicide is bad. I'm repeating that for the second time. Suicide is bad. Feeling suicidal is not a character defect, as many think. A lot of people think that it's a character defect, which it's not. It is not. And having suicidal thought does not mean that you're crazy. It does not mean that you're weak. It does not mean that you're mad. It does not mean that you're stupid. No, it is not a character defect, and it does not make you weak. It only means that you have more pain you're dealing with. You have more pain that you're not able to cope with right now. Yeah, having suicidal thoughts, it's just that you're going through a difficult moment and you're not able to cope with the situation. It just means as simple as that. But with time you can overcome. I've had a lot of people saying that when they find somebody has killed themselves, and they would end up saying, why, how can you kill yourself? That's being stupid. It's not a character defect. and it does not make somebody a weak person. It's just the difficult moment that that person is probably going through is the one that is wrecking that person out, and they feel like they are bursting out with emotion, they are bursting out with, they just don't have another solution at that particular moment, or rather they don't know what to think about anymore. Because suicide is the people might find it as the best option because it ends everything. It will end your struggles, it will end your difficult moment, and it will end your life. So you will have not to suffer anymore. You'll not have to experience what you're experiencing that particular moment. But guys, it is not always the best solution. So before, if you're having those suicidal thoughts, before you even get to committing the act of now the suicide, I want us to look at some of the things that you can remember, the things that you have to remember, and the things that you need to do when you're faced with suicidal thoughts, so that you don't end up committing the real act. Okay? What I'm trying to do here is to help you if you're going through suicidal, if you're having suicidal thoughts, to help you so that you don't end up doing the act itself, because now it's committing suicide, which will end your life and it is not worth it. Okay? If at all, if people would actually do look at the things before I name them, if people would actually were to remember things and to do these things, people will not get to the real act of now committing suicide, because there's something beyond suicidal thoughts. It's not just about suicide, there's something beyond suicidal thought. There is overcoming, and there is so many positive things. Number one, remember that your emotions are not fixed. Okay? Your emotions are not fixed. I say this because what you might be feeling today is not the same feeling you might be having tomorrow. It is not the same feeling you probably had yesterday. And it is not the same feeling that you'll probably be having next week, next month, or the next year. Your emotions change. They change from time to time. So remember that. Number two, remember that there are still so many things that you can accomplish in your life. There are still so many things you can still accomplish in your life. For as long as you have your own life, there's so many things you can continue accomplishing. It doesn't matter if you want to commit suicide because you have failed. Remember that you can also become out victorious in one way or another. Number three, remember that your absence will create grief and anguish in the lives of your friends, of your family, maybe the people close to you. And especially if you're now a parent and you're thinking of committing suicide, think about the pain that your children will actually go through when you are gone. Think about the people you're going to leave behind. How do you want them to cope with life if you're gone, and they just don't know how to do it? They might end up become so much like wrecked. Think about them. Another thing, remember that problems and pain are just temporary, but suicide is permanent. I'm going to repeat that again. Pain, problems, and all those kind of things are just temporary, but suicide is permanent. So, are you going to sit down to just kill yourself and end everything? Or are you going to wait and deal with the pain and problems, because they will pass at a time, and your life is going to normalize again? Another thing is that remember that solutions exist. Solutions exist. It's just that you're not able to look to see the solutions that there is right now, because you are overwhelmed with the painful things and difficult times that you're going through. You're just not able to cope with it. But if you relax just a little, you might end up seeing so many solutions that have actually existed long before. Okay? Those are just but a few things that you can actually remember before committing, or rather before making the decision of committing suicide and ending your own life. Another thing, there's so many things that you can do. I want us to look at the things you can actually do when you're faced with suicidal thoughts. This one might help. avoid drugs and alcohol. That's number one. Suicidal thoughts can become stronger if you take alcohol. Okay, if you take alcohol, it might become stronger, and you might end up taking your own life because you are not able to control your mind. You are under alcohol, the influence of alcohol or drugs. You're not able to control your mind, so it's very, very easy to commit suicide when you are actually very drunk, or rather when you're using drugs. Stay sober, relax, and take and control your mind. Number two, make your home or space a very safe place for you. What do I mean by this? Remove all the objects, all the things that you might end up hurting yourself with. If you're thinking of committing suicide and you want to use a rope, get that rope out of your house. If you want to stab yourself with your knife, get that knife out of your house. Razor blades, medicines, all the things that you actually think you can use to commit suicide, get them out of your way so that you don't see them, you don't get tempted to take them. Because when you decide to commit suicide and the knife is there, you'll just stab yourself, and before you realize it, you're gone. Make it a safer place for you. But if you can't, if you feel like you can't, you feel like you're not able to stay away from it, go somewhere else where you feel safe, and especially go where there is a people you can stay with, people that can actually help watch you. Help, like, what am I saying? Yes, they can help watch you because you're not able to watch yourself. And what you're trying to do is to find a safer place for yourself, because you're trying to run for you out of you're running from yourself to protect yourself. So another thing, promise not to do anything right now. And this one is very, very effective. Promise yourself not to do it right now. If you're thinking of committing suicide right now, just promise yourself, like, I will not do it right now. It's more like postponing. It's more like postponing the whole thing, and this one will help your mind to settle, and things might actually work for you. So don't do it right now. Give yourself time. Don't do it right now. So if you're trying to do it today and you say you're not going to do it right now, you're going to relax. Then tomorrow, if you think about it, you're going to say, I'm not going to do it right now. So you're going to relax and keep, oh my goodness, what am I saying? You're going to relax again and again and again. So you might end up saving yourself with postponing the whole. Just don't do it right now. Just don't do it right now because it's not the right time. Talk to someone you trust. And I mean someone you trust, because there's so many people that you can go talk to. They might not understand, but if you go and talk to someone and they don't understand, try to find another person who will understand. Yes, continue to talk to people, but only to them that can actually understand you. Because talking about it, sharing about what you're going through releases a lot of pressure that has been building up. It releases a lot of pressure. Avoid being alone. Just spend time with people. Be with people, like stay with people all the time. Don't be alone. Don't stay alone. The reason I keep saying that you don't stay alone is because when you are alone, you just keep thinking and thinking and thinking, which is not good. You might end up thinking so much, so much, so much, which is not even good, not even necessary, not at all. Being alone is one of things that can actually lead make you commit suicide for real. Because when you're alone, you keep to think and thinking. You're just thinking about so many things, how good it's gonna be when you end your life. How Another thing, do activities that you enjoy, uh which can help take away your mind from your thinking. Do something you love. If you love reading novels, do it. If you love watching movies, do it. It's about exercising, taking videos. Just do something that you enjoy doing. This one will help you to take out uh, your mind off just a little bit, and you might end up relaxing. And okay, another thing, don't just focus on the future. Just focus on getting through today. Focus on getting through today rather than focusing on the future. Don't look at what am I going to do tomorrow. Today. Focus on today. Get through today. Tomorrow, then you're gonna think what to do and all that. But when you get through today, it might help you a lot. Another thing is that just breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Concentrate on your breathing. Concentrate on your breathing can help you so much to like focus your mind somewhere else, to get your mind off just a little bit. And if we are able to do and to look at all things and remember all these things, we might save ourselves from actually committing this suicide, from ending our lives. Because guys, committing suicide is not a solution. And committing suicide is very bad, not just for you, but even for the people you leave behind. They'll be traumatized. Let's save ourselves. Let us save ourselves if we can. There's look past the pain. Okay, look past the pain. Of course, I know you might be experiencing too much pain for you to contemplate taking committing suicide, but look past that pain. Look beyond that pain, because suicidal thoughts are not permanent. It's not a permanent thing. Things do change, and you can find motivation to live again. And you actually will find the motivation to live your life once again. Don't take your own life. Don't end your life. Remember, God has given you life freely. So don't end it just because of the things you're going through. And remember, not only you, but so many people are going through difficult moments. There may be even a lot of people are contemplating suicide, but just don't do it. Save yourself right now. Don't commit suicide. Don't do it. There is a solution. Remember that there is a solution. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. Kindly, please share this video with your family, with your friends, and let us create awareness. Let's not commit suicide, because there is solution. Guys, remember that Jesus is still the reason that we are. Thank you so much for watching. I love you so much. I love you so much, guys.